Hello and welcome to Sidequest. This is our weekly video game show here at Geekverse. I'm your host, Dylan. I have with me Bastion Boy himself, Taylor Field. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good. Happy to be here. Happy to talk about today's topic. I'm looking forward to this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it should be a fun show. We're mostly going to be talking about Marvel Rivals, which is the latest Marvel game announced, and we're going to do like a fun kind of comparing that to Overwatch because it looks very freaking similar. And we're going to compare and contrast some characters and talk about the trailer and all that. So that should be fun. We'll talk about the games we've been playing. We're going to do a little draft check-in. I will say also today, we're recording this on April 1st. The worst day to try and find additional topics for the show because I'm out here Googling. I'm all these video game websites. I'm seeing like, oh, a Ghostbusters Lego game was announced, and it's like, oh no, that was a joke. All this other, every website, every website is posting their funny jokes, today, and it was just a mess. The worst day to be hunting down news for a show, I gotta say.
Yeah. It's a bad day to post an episode on Cryptic Clues, too, because people are like, oh, this is all fake. Like,
Yeah, no way to defend yourself on that. But I was looking at that and I was like, man, I like Ghostbusters. I don't know if that would make a good Lego game. Like, I don't know if there's a ton of characters. I don't know if the characters would really have distinct move sets. Like, because you're more knowledgeable of that series than I am. I just saw the newest movie, but I don't know. Do you think they would make for a good Lego game? Like, I guess they took other ones. Like, Incredibles doesn't have a ton of characters, but they did a whole game of that. So I'm sure they could make it work. But it seems like it'd be cool in like a Warner Bros. Like crossover sort of game. But I don't know if a full Lego game would work for something like that.
that's tricky. Yeah. I mean, I would equate it to probably Lego Jurassic World. And
Yeah.
some of the characters that you can play as are pretty basic, like scientists and like
Right.
dinosaur handler kind of stuff like that. Those
Good
kind of
point.
characters.
Indiana Jones, right, as well. Like, there's probably not tons of characters because that was even before Dial of Destiny and stuff. So I guess they've done Lego games that have smaller rosters, but I just think of like Star Wars and Marvel that have like 200 or
So
300
huge.
characters or something like that. So, but yeah. Anyway, I got a little tripped up by that, but yeah, it's gonna be a fun show. What do we got for shout outs? Join the Discord where we had a discussion about Marvel's Rivals when that was announced. It was fun to see everyone's takes on that. You can hop over the Patreon to get episodes early and ad free and vote on various polls. And especially right now is good because one thing we're doing in the summer is we're doing a 2012 Golden Geeks, and people can go in there and vote for movies they want us to watch for that as well. So all sorts of fun things a lot of interactivity, I should say, with the Patreons. That's a good thing to do. What else are we doing? We did it. Me and you did a Godzilla vs Kong, Godzilla X Kong review. I always mess that up when I say it. The other day, it's the season of X, so more Marvel stuff. Go check out our Marvels or our X-Men '97 weekly reviews that we're doing. Halo's done now. That's long gone at this point. That's way in the dust trail in the back there. We got weekly newscasts and all that kind of fun stuff. So lots going on. Any other shout-outs from you, Mr. Field?
Oh, I mean, the only other thing I could think of is, I mean, obviously we got so many movies coming down the pipeline. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, we got an early screening, so I might be reviewing that a few days early.
How early is it?
I think it was 2 days.
That's pretty good.
It's
That's pretty
not
good.
bad. It's not a week, but 2 days is
It's
something.
a day more than Fall Guy.
That's true. That is
So
true.
That's an improvement. Yeah, cool. Yeah, lots of retros and movies coming out in the next couple months here, which is nice because honestly, in terms of game releases, especially when I was looking at planning out the rest of April for Sidequest, I'm like, man, there's nothing releasing that I'm picking up. And looking through these lists, I don't think anyone else that's on here at Geekverse is like picking up any of these games. So I have a lot of fun topics that have been sitting in the backlog. So I think we'll bring those out this month. And of course, we'll make some fun show. We'll always make it fun and interesting. But yeah, one thing. So let's get right into it. The first thing I want to do actually is do a check-in of our draft because it's been, I think, a month at least since we've checked in, and there's been a lot of game releases on it. So if you forget, back in January and every January we do a draft where we all pick 5 video games, and then we're looking at the Metacritic score, and then we're going to compare who has the best rated games by the end of the year. I'm currently in last place, which is classic for me in this draft, because I only have one game out right now, which is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. But very soon, Hellblade 2 is going to come out, so that'll be a new one on my list. And then the rest of my stuff is like months from now, if not, might be in the repick territory in terms of not even coming out. So I'm still in last. Kirkland has 2 games on his list now. He had South Park Snow Day come out, sitting at 56 for the PS5 version. Not
No.
good. Not a great start for him. The guy who won the first year we did this draft. Not looking great for him over there.
Oh, that stings. Ooh.
I've heard pretty bad stuff about that game. So maybe
Does he know? Does he know this?
I don't think he knows yet. I'll have to surprise attack him next time he's on Sidequest. That was his first pick too. Now that I'm looking at it, so yikes! That might
He
be
was
the
very confident on that.
that
one.
might be the worst rated first pick ever in the history of the draft. And then he also had Rise of Rona come out, which is sitting at a nice 76. So that's much better. The rest of his games are waiting in the wings, so he's above me at the very least. Because I mean, 2 games, no matter what, it's going to get you over 1 game, unless they're really that bad. But yeah, South Park, not a great review there. And then it's really, once again, it has been the whole year, a very tight race between you and Travis right now. Travis is at a total of 320 points because Peach Showtime came out with a 74. He already had Like a Dragon at 86, Helldivers 2 at 83, and Pacific Drive at 77. So he's looking pretty solid right now. His last game is Indiana Jones, which I think has a good chance of like at least 80s. That's a good reputable studio there, and I think that's definitely coming out this year. So looking like a pretty decent list for him. But Taylor, you currently have him beat. You have a 326 points. You have 6 points more than him. So you previously had Mario vs. Donkey Kong at 77 points, Tekken 8 at 89, which is your really good one. Dragon's Dogma 2 has come out now. That's at an 88 on the Xbox version. I think there's been a lot of controversy with like mostly the PC version, but maybe I don't know if that's dropped. Honestly, it could have, because I know that game's taken a definitely negative swing in the news cycle. But you could double check that if you want. I mean, I'm always going to check these numbers again at the end of the year. But then you also quietly had Terminator Dark Fate come out, which I did not even realize that was out. Forgot it was on your list. Forgot it was a game at all until recently. And that came out a few weeks ago at 72. So yeah, like Dragon's Dogma and Tekken 8 were really, really good ones for you. The other 2, not so much. And then your last one's Warhammer 40K Space Marine 2 coming out in, I think, September. So a little while to wait for that. But, and who knows how that one's going to do. So you're in a decent spot, but Travis is right on your tail, and Indiana Jones, I don't know if it's really, really great. It could bump him over top you, I got to say.
I just froze. I'm sorry.
Did you miss everything I said?
I just missed. I'm so sorry. I heard you like you had Terminator Dark Fate, and then it like crashed. I was like, oh.
It's all good. Well, I see that you have the draft open, so you can see where the points lie. But yeah, how are you feeling about Warhammer being your last pick versus Indiana Jones as Travis's last pick? Like, do you think that 6-point lead for you is going to be enough to clinch out the victory here? Because who knows with Warhammer, right? Who knows what's going to turn out for that one?
I don't know what the Warhammer community is like. So yeah, that's anybody's guess.
Wild card.
I mean, for me, like I was definitely concerned about the Terminator pick, but that 72, I'll take it. That's pretty dang good. Dragon's Dogma, I'm very happy that worked out, because remember I was struggling for picks when we were getting down to those ones there. But yeah, hopefully Warhammer just does something, because a 6-point lead is not going to do it unless Indiana Jones gets 5 points, but I don't think it's going to go that low. So
Now, I was just double checking. I think Dragon's Dogma actually did drop a couple points down to 86. Oof. So that makes it even closer. And once again, I haven't double fact checked all these numbers again, because I don't want to do that every single month, because these numbers change often. But I dropped you 2 points there, so now it's even closer. 4 points difference between you and Travis, barring me double checking all these scores. But yeah, very, very close. So that's going to be fun to keep an eye on. We should have more. Actually, I don't think there's really any releases going to update the draft until like the summer. So we're going to be sitting pretty for a bit here. You can hold on to that number 1 slot for the probably first half of the year, and then things will get interesting again in the summer. So fun to always check in on that. God damn, that South Park rating, that's so bad. I feel bad. I feel bad for our boy Kirkland. Okay, let's talk about the games we've been playing. And first, I'm going to throw it to you, because I don't need to shill Potion Problem today, because you have played it and you wanted to talk about it. So tell the people, and be brutally honest, how is my game?
I think your game is wonderful. I think it's absolutely delightful. For me, the score combined with the aesthetic is just so fulfilling. I felt like I was just swept away, and I was just absorbed into what I was doing. I was really having a good time, and it reminded me of just this. It was how simple it was. It just had a nostalgic vibe for me. Like
Ooh, okay.
I was a young gamer again, and I was really enjoying it. It just feels like this is something you could sink so much time into. Like 2 hours goes by and you're like, oh my god, I didn't realize that much time went by, because you're enjoying it, you're having fun. And I'm really happy with how you've executed this, and how the little animations you've included too are really
Mm,
enjoyable, whether it's like your knife you're chopping, or you're stabbing, or you just like cutting apart different ingredients is very
yeah.
satisfying. Because when I was breaking things apart, thought, oh, I can like break this apart, like the spider. I can break more into like different parts and stuff like that. And use the parts differently. I like that. There's a lot of cool little details that you've included. Um, I found one thing that I don't know if it's a glitch, and it's
Okay,
completely
please.
irrelevant. But it's just, for me, sometimes I'm just weird when I'm on the computer and I'll be like left clicking. Sometimes my ring finger will just like tap my right click button. I don't know if it's because I just like I just have like energy or something like that.
Yeah.
But when I click on it, I noticed that the potions ingredients book would flip all the way to the last page,
Mm.
and then I'd have to
Okay.
like cycle back to the page I was on to see the ingredients and stuff.
Okay, so I got a couple tips for you. So yeah, if you right click the book like on the right or left page, it'll automatically take you to the front or back so you can quickly get there. But then also you can right click anything, any ingredient, any potion recipe, any tool, and it'll immediately take you to that page in the book.
Oh.
So yeah, I added that pretty late, but it was just getting to a point where there's so many pages that it took so long to find things, and I wanted to be able to people to be able to quickly reference things. So that way, if you're making a potion, you can be like, I want to go to the page for this ingredient because I'm forgetting something, but then you don't have to like find the potion again. So you can just right click on all that stuff. So yeah, if that does happen, and you wanted to get back to your potion page, just right click on that order, and then it will take you back to that page in the book. So, yeah,
Okay,
so that
okay.
I understand what you were doing there, but yeah, hopefully now that you know that, it's funny that feature I've added, and I tried to like tutorialize it in so many different spots because people seem to miss it, and clearly I've still like failed at that. So I need to think about another way that I can teach that to the player, because that's a very important thing, really convenient, but it's also like maybe that's something you don't need it in the first like 2 or 3 levels, so you kind of forget that it exists. So yeah, I got it. That's a good thing to bring up because now I got to think of a new way that I can kind of remind people to use that feature. But yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, and thank you for all those kind words. That's very sweet. I'm glad that you like the aesthetic. That's definitely a part that I've been maybe not nervous is the right word, but like I really didn't start doing pixel art until like recently. So I some in some of my sprites I'm like I look at them and I'm really happy with them. Other ones I'm like it's kind of the best I could do for today. So I'm glad that you like it, and of course yeah, Amanda's music is fucking incredible. I'm so happy that that's in there, and I think that helps add to that nostalgic factor that you mentioned. That was definitely something we discussed when she was making the music. So I'm glad that has come across as well. That's
Mhm.
cool.
No, you should be absolutely super proud of yourself. I think it's a lot of hard work, and I feel like the passion is definitely there when you play this game. So I can't recommend it enough. I mean, if you're on Steam, make sure you wishlist this game. It's fan freaking
I
tastic.
didn't even have to say it today. Look at
No.
that. Thank you, Dan.
Have you thought about doing like? Because I know you have like different types of bonus levels and the main
Mhm.
campaign and whatnot. Have you thought about doing like a timed trial version?
There are 3 time trial levels in the
Okay,
bonus
okay.
levels, and you unlock them pretty late. Like, I forget which the first time, but there's 3 different ones you unlock them by beating campaign levels. So you
Hmm.
do unlock 3 of them later on. I did think
Okay.
about other bonus objectives that would be on like each level and like having like a timer for each of them. Ultimately, I decided that I didn't really want that to be like what the game was about. I didn't want you to
Hmm.
feel like that pressure of time. But I still wanted that to be an element. So instead, I just did it through like 3 specific levels, and I'm pretty happy with them. I think they're really like well set up. Like you have to make a
Hmm.
lot of potion or orders, and orders to come through after certain amounts of times too. So it gets pretty chaotic. So that's a fun way to kind of see that. So if you want to try those and you haven't got to that point in the unlocking, you haven't unlocked them, you can just, I mean, in that version you can just like immediately unlock all the levels and you could go check it out, or you'll unlock it at some point by getting through the campaign. So yeah, there's a little bit of that in there, but Yeah, I've heard that from a few people actually that they want to maybe try that out. So I don't know, maybe that's something to consider in the future. Is adding more like time bonus badges or rewards you could get for doing the levels quickly.
Brilliant.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for that. Yeah, once again, people can go check it out on Steam. Don't have a release date yet. Working on it. Hopefully pretty soon. I'll say before summer. That's what I'll say. That's what I'll say for the release date right now. The game's pretty much done. I'm just trying to wait to get a little bit more feedback from Taylor and other people play testing so I can fix up those issues that people have before it goes live. But yeah, you can also check out I have an Instagram and Twitter page for it. You can check those out if you want to get more updates and see some other stuff as well. The trailer's out there now, of course. You can go check that out, see what it looks like. And thank you to everyone who's already wishlisted it so far. Numbers are doing pretty good on Steam. I'm happy with it so far. So, yeah. Me and you have also been playing Outlast Trials. I don't know if you wanted to add on any thoughts beyond our review from a couple weeks ago, but I've been really enjoying that, going in the harder levels. Some of them are so freaking hard, but I like it. I like the different kind of challenge it poses over the first round of levels.
Yeah, I've been enjoying it thoroughly. I'm glad that we've been playing, and even though I know there's some new stuff coming to Call of Duty that Travis has been excited for, I'm hoping that we still invest time into this game because I've gotten enough tickets to release another agent, and I'm going to try and grind it and release 3 of them so I can unlock the next harder tier, because I really want to try that with you guys, because I've been having a lot of fun going through this. And I played a little bit yesterday afternoon before all the Easter stuff was kind of hitting the fan, but I managed to first of all, I managed to get all 4 of us, me and 3 other randoms, got A+ across the board. It was a perfect game. Yeah,
that's crazy. Wow.
And then other things too that I unlocked was it was a tool amp, and so your night vision recharges automatically when not being used, which is huge. I absolutely love that. That's an alternative to like the slippers one, so really, really handy to have.
Right.
And there's another one I unlocked too that's really freaking good. Once you hit like that 28 to 29 mark, then I start to feel like, okay, the amps are starting to get more powerful, like really, really good.
Nice. That's good.
Yeah, and I've almost gotten all my prescriptions unlocked. I have 2 more I have to unlock.
Nice.
But yeah, I'm just trying to get as much as I collectively can done, so that way that solo mission, I can kind of breeze through those, because those are just nightmare. Oh, so difficult.
Do you know if it's the same mission, just like harder when you do that again? Okay.
Yeah, and you get different endings every time you do it.
Right. So hopefully, since you've kind of done it before, I mean, I'm sure there's other differences, different enemy types, or different doors are locked and whatnot, but hopefully it'll be easier now that you kind of know what to expect to some extent.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, no, I've been enjoying that too. It's been a lot of fun. Even if Call of Duty's got this new update, I hope we keep playing it, because I still have much I want to do in it. As you mentioned there, like the upgrades and unlocks get really fun. I think that just kind of keeps branching out more from that initial stuff. So that's been really fun to just, every level up feels meaningful in that game, which is cool, because for a game like that, they don't really need that kind of thing, honestly, like at all. But the fact that they do have it, I think adds just a nice sense of progression, makes you want to keep playing. Other than that, playing a lot of the same old stuff. You Suck at Parking, which I talked about last week with Kirkland, and then Solitaire Conspiracy a couple weeks ago. Just really fun, enjoying both of those. But the main game I want to just shout out this week, this is an old game. This is a favorite game. Super Smash Bros. Melee for the Nintendo GameCube. Of course, my favorite game of all time. Realize that I probably have not talked about Melee much in like the Sidequest era. And that's because I haven't been playing a whole lot of it. But for anyone who's new or doesn't know, I've been playing competitive Melee for Taylor, it's been 10 years. I started in 2014. So we're getting to a decade of competitive Melee in my life, which is kind of crazy that the time has been flying in that way. But yeah, like I said, I haven't really been playing much recently. Ever since COVID hit and then I moved to Vancouver, I just never really got back into it in a major way. But I went to Battle of BC 6 over the weekend, which was a really, really fun tournament. It was a huge tournament. It had all the big names from Melee, which was really cool. I was happy that I won a couple sets. I didn't know after all these years, how rusty I would be. But yeah, I did end up winning a couple sets. I got to play against a player named Sunsei, who's somewhere ranked in the top like 20, 25 in the world. Like he's one of the best players in the world currently. So it was really fun to play against him. Even if like I go into it, I know I'm gonna lose to him, but it's still like it's a fun opportunity to get to play against like a known player like that. So that was good. And then yeah, like honestly, not one of my favorite players won the tournament, but he played really well. So I'm not too mad about it. But it was just so great to see like such high level melee. It was fun to get back into it. And just play matches with some random people too. And it was just so much fun to jump back into that game because it's not like I forget how good it is, but when I play it again and I'm just in there and I'm at a setup with someone and I'm playing on a CRT and it's like there's no game that feels even halfway as good as Melee feels. It's just such like the amount of control you have, the depth of mechanics, it's insane. And I just even at this tournament and in watching all these high level matches, it's seen like multiple things I've never seen before, certain combos or certain interactions. It just goes to show how deep this game is. I've played it for thousands of hours and I'm still seeing new shit that I've never seen before. It's really, really crazy. So that was such a great time. And it's also it's cool to see because I've been to all these Battle of BC. This is like a tournament series, six, obviously the sixth one. I've been to all of them except for last year because last year happened when I was in Europe. But it started in like a small, well, a pretty big classroom, but like at UBC. The fact that this whole tournament was happening in like a classroom, and then there's like one in like a gym. So it's kind of like, okay, it's a bit dingy. And now it's at the Vancouver Convention Center. It's like this huge venue, really beautiful at the waterfront. Like it's just so cool to see how much they've grown this tournament series. So happy for those guys. Really great team setting it up over there. So yeah, man, Melee. Still the best game ever. Can confirm after playing a bunch more of it in the last week. It makes me want to go to more tournaments and stuff because the Vancouver scene is so much bigger than Kelowna too. So that was always a good, like a secondary reason that I maybe wanted to move to Vancouver. Now that I'm here, I haven't really been taking advantage of it. So yeah, it makes me want to get back into Melee some more. So good.
Is it a variety of mains across the whole tournament, or are people kind of sticking to usually like the same characters because they know these characters excel over others? How does that work? What do you see there?
So for Melee specifically, I would say so. There's 26 characters in the game. I'd say about 10 to 12 of them are like good enough to win a tournament. And a tournament of this scale, maybe you'd shrink that number down to like 6 or 7 characters, I suppose. But yeah, like even in those characters that are just that tier below, like they can still do really well. It's just like, I've never seen like an Ice Climbers win a huge major tournament, but a lot of them have placed top 8 at huge events, like over and over, even got like second or third, like really high placements before. But yeah, I think it's crazy that sometimes Melee has more, because top 8, that's kind of like where we look at for like, that's like the major point of the tournament. Usually that's like reserved to Sunday. You play up until top 8, and that's like if you made top 8, you're like one of the best in the world kind of thing. And it's not rare for Melee to have more character diversity in it than Ultimate in the top 8, which is pretty insane for a game that old, and considering Ultimate has 4 times ish as many characters as Melee does. But yeah, you'll almost always see a Marth, almost always see a Fox or a Falco, Jigglypuff. But then this one also there was a Captain Falcon in there, a Yoshi currently. There's only one guy who plays Yoshi at the high level, but he's just so freaking good that he wins tournaments, and it's insane because Yoshi's such a weird character. But Peach is really good. I played Falcon at this tournament, who's always been my kind of go-to. There's also a Sheik in top 8. So yeah, top 8 had like 6 or 7 or 8 characters, which is pretty cool to see. So yeah, there's really good character diversity in Melee, considering it is an older game with such a developed meta, but also, a game that like only has as many characters as it does. The fact that percentage of them are kind of relevant is pretty cool to see.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
Even
glad you had a good time.
Mm-hmm. I went with my friend Negan, who he's actually appeared on Sidequest once for the Diablo review. He joined me for that, so he's been on here. He's also been playing Melee for almost 10 years as well. And he, in his bracket, he had to play against a Game & Watch, which is like one of the worst characters in the game. But because he's one of the worst characters, no one really plays him. And so like me and him, like most people don't really have much experience against Game & Watch. So there's like that surprise factor to it as well. And so he lost the first game against the Game & Watch. And like, you don't want to lose to a bad character, because that doesn't look good. But also it's like, yeah, when's the last time you've practiced against the Game & Watch? But then he switched to Sheik from Fox. And Sheik is like really good at just crushing the low tier, like the bad characters. I could explain why, but I don't need to get into all that detail. But he switched to Sheik and then clutched it out in games 2 and 3. And game 3 was like so close, like a last hit, last stock situation. So it was really fun to watch him play these matches as well. So yeah, show us some Melee if anyone wants. Like the Slippy online is really, really good. It's like some of the best online for any fighting game out there. Is it totally legal? No, but you should go play it anyway because you can't buy the game legally anymore. So there's nothing holding you back. So yeah, go play some Slippy. Get back into Melee because Melee is so sick. Still, 23 years later. Yep, there you go. There's Melee. What else? I don't think I have anything else in the games I've been playing section. So maybe we'll take our first break here. We'll come back and we will get into Marvel's Rivals. We'll be right back. Okay, we are back. So it's crazy because last week on the podcast, me and Kirkland talked about Marvel's 1943 Rise of Hydra. I'm never going to like saying that name. It just does not roll off the tongue. Which, of course, was announced like a year and a half ago. That's like that's that King Captain Soldier Spy game, right? But that had a new trailer, and it finally got its title and all that, and more information came out about it. So we talked about that last week. So it's crazy. Just a few days later, Marvel's Rivals was announced. This game has not been known about. Maybe it was leaked or something like that. But this is a hero shooter, third-person shooter, 6v6 action game. So it's essentially Overwatch. It's essentially an Overwatch or a Team Fortress 2, but with Marvel characters, which is not a genre we've seen for Marvel. Right off the bat, like how spoiled are we as Marvel fans, Taylor? Like we get so many freaking games, and even though like not a lot of them are doing super well, which is sad to see when they eventually do come out, but I was just thinking about it, and like, you know, we had Midnight Suns, which was like this great tactics game. We had that 1943 game coming out, an Iron Man game, a Black Panther game are currently in development that we know about. Marvel Snap's popping off. You know, not everyone loved Marvel's Avengers, but we had that. Ultimate Alliance 3 recently. You get like a Spider-Man game every 2 years. A Wolverine game's coming out. That Guardians game, that was really great. Just so much stuff to play. And so I think it's cool that it seemed like in our Discord, not a lot of people were hyped about this or didn't like the idea. But for me, it's like we have so many single-player games or like smaller co-op games that I love this idea. I can't wait to have just like a multiplayer-focused, competitive Marvel game. Overwatch is like in the dumps right now, so I think it's like a perfect time for this because I love Overwatch, or I did love Overwatch, but I'm not super into it these days. I think this is a good way to like kind of get me back into that genre, playing some more. So I'm pretty excited for this. We got a trailer for it. We saw some gameplay, and then we have a bunch of characters and whatnot to break down. But yeah, what did you think of the trailer for this? Are you impressed, looking forward to it, or do you think you'll be passing on this one?
I'm interested. I am just flabbergasted how carbon copy seems to be from Overwatch. Even like when you get the kills and your little like reticle toggle that appears,
Right.
like so many little minor details, and the mechanics, the catchphrases, everything. While it is definitely Marvel themed, it feels very much like this is originated from what Overwatch is. So I agree with what you said. Overwatch being down the dumps right now, this is being a great time to swoop in and take the day. I think that this game will do very well. I do not see it not succeeding. I think that people are always just craving for that next streamable competitive esports game, and I think this is definitely going to be taking the cake for that, especially with Overwatch kind of taking a back seat.
You even think in a world where Midnight Suns like kind of flopped and Avengers live service online game kind of flopped, Guardians of the Galaxy game didn't like sell very well, you feel much more solid about this one than you do those games?
I do, yeah. Okay. Just because, again, the competitive factor that's involved with this title, and just the way that like, watching the trailer and seeing like, yeah, this is very much like that spiritual successor to Overwatch, and Overwatch just it did great. And people that aren't even necessarily Marvel fans are gonna look at this and be like, hey, I'll jump into this. It looks like a fun competitive shooter, and they'll get hooked. These types of games are very hookable.
Yeah, it remains to be seen what the pricing model of this game is. I have to imagine it's free to play with like microtransactions at the Yahoo for you know, character skins, and obviously Marvel's has a plentiful amount of costumes and skins you can use, and catchphrases and Fortnite dances and all this stupid stuff that you can unlock and pay for. So I'm sure that's what it will be. I think Overwatch 2 is a free to play game at this point, right? Even though Overwatch 1 was a purchasable game back in the day. I think sometime in the Overwatch lifespan it converted, right? But yeah, it's pretty on the nose that it's Overwatch. This game is being developed by NetEase, which is kind of a weird studio, or I guess company, because they're kind of a publisher, kind of a developer. They have other games, and it's hard to know exactly like which games NetEase specifically developed, versus which ones they were like support studios on or just a publisher on. But looking at some of the other games, apparently they're working on like a Harry Potter game coming up. They did 2 Marvel games. They did a card game, not Snap, but another one. And then they also made the Marvel MOBA, like the League of Legends Dota-like, that I don't think is playable in North America. I think it's like only in China or select countries. So they've worked on Marvel stuff before, which is a good sign. They did Dead by Daylight Mobile randomly. I guess they did that port, which is interesting. Worked on Diablo Immortal. So they have worked on all sorts of different games, and often working with other IP, and specifically Marvel as well. I think the MOBA is a really good one to point to in terms of like designing a character moveset. MOBAs usually have characters with 4 abilities. So does Overwatch, and this game also has characters with 4 abilities. So I think in a lot of that, they can probably even just like one-to-one grab a character and like their design from a game like that and kind of port it over to what it would be like in a shooter version. So I think it's probably a pretty good studio to make this kind of thing, but I also haven't really played, like I guess technically I've played a bit of Diablo Immortal, but that's like about it, and I don't even know if they were the primary developer on it. So somewhat of an unknown quantity, but I think maybe a good pick. Let's talk about some of these differences from Overwatch. So big one being that this is third person instead of first person, which I think is a good call for Marvel stuff in general. We've seen like most Marvel games, and especially games when you're playing like known characters, we tend to go to the third person route because then you can like see them more. And so it's like people were mad when Indiana Jones was first person, or people are like on the fence. Or I guess Blade is a third person game, even though Arcane's made first person games before. So I think it just goes to show that it's kind of like a thing to do for like a Marvel type game. So that's a slight difference. It is a 6v6, which Overwatch, of course, started as, but then transitioned to 5v5. I think with the release of Overwatch 2 is when that kind of switchover happened. So I think it's actually a great thing to go back to a 6v6, because people were mad about that change. I personally was too. I think Overwatch was fine the way it is, and I was definitely out of the game for a while, so I don't know how the meta changed and whatnot. But anyway, I think that's a good change. They showed off a bunch of these team up moves, which is an interesting concept. This is no shocker for like if you've played Ultimate Alliance before. It's very similar to that, where 2 characters use their abilities in conjunction with each other. So some of the examples we saw were Rocket can jump on Groot's back and just kind of pop off, which I think is a very classic. That one makes a lot of sense. Another weirder one is that Hulk can like shoot gamma radiation at Iron Man, and then Iron Man
that's what he was doing.
Yeah, it powers him up, and then he like shoots stronger, I guess, gamma beams, which is like really weird. Like I don't ever see Hulk as like shooting gamma rays at people, especially with like a green kind of energy thing. It looks weird. And then the only other one that I saw from the trailer was Luna Snow, is a character I've never heard of before, giving ice powers to Namor. And then Namor like shot out like an ice octopus. He has like, it looks like you can throw in octopuses that are kind of like, God, what the hell is that character's name from? I forget what her name is in Overwatch, but she like sets up little turrets. She can set up the teleporter. That character. Do you know who I'm talking about? I have all the characters written down here. We'll get to it at some point, but anyway, it looked a lot like that. I guess, in terms of like him throwing down these octopuses, and these ones like have ice on them, so they probably slow your opponent. So those are some of these synergies that we saw. I think it's a cool idea, but it makes me curious, like how many of the characters are going to have these synergies, because it doesn't seem like Groot necessarily has a synergy with every character. So is it that they're trying to push like certain meta combos of characters and like trying to make it so like, ooh, if you play a team of 6 Guardians of the Galaxy, then like they're gonna have a lot of synergies together, and that's a good team, even if like maybe their individual powers otherwise don't necessarily synergize. Like maybe there's like more support characters than would make sense in a team. I'm getting in the weeds there a little bit, but I don't know if that's the idea there. But yeah, like what do you think of that idea? Because I know, and I guess we're talking a lot about the comparison to Overwatch, and you've only played some Overwatch, whereas I've played a lot more. But yeah, what do you think about the idea of like team up moves in a game like this?
Yeah, I mean it fits. Like you said, Ultimate Alliance has done it. Guardians of the Galaxy had team up moves as well, did it not?
I think so. I didn't actually
Yeah.
play that game, but I think it
Oh.
did. Yeah.
And yeah, I'm assuming if there's a few other titles that have had that kind of team up aspect. But yeah, as far as it goes, Overwatch. I mean, yeah, it's always been. Um, I mean, they didn't have anything like that in there, from what I recall.
Yeah, I mean nothing
Um,
like specifically to like Tracer and Zarya specifically doing a thing together, but using that same example, like Zarya has a move to pull a bunch of people in, and then Tracer could go and throw a grenade on him and hit a bunch of people. So obviously there are synergies that exist, but they're just not, I guess, phrased in that same way. And I think maybe that just
yeah.
makes more sense for the Marvel IP. But then, yeah, but then the question becomes like, how many does Rocket have? Is Groot his only power up ability that he has? If so, that would be maybe a bit disappointing.
That would be, because then you're very limited. If you're not playing with your friends and you're just hoping that people pick a Groot, and if no one in your team picks a Groot, then you can't use that special ability.
Yeah.
I doubt that's a thing. I honestly imagine that they've created some very innovative and creative combos for other characters. I'm sure we could see an Iron Man and a Groot or something like that, or
Yeah.
a Rocket and a Hulk kind of combo, which would be very cool to see what those are in the game.
I guess if that was the case, we'd have to just imagine that they're a bit more superficial, which they could be. Like Hulk shooting gamma at Iron Man, him have a more powerful beam. Like in theory, we could just do that for every character. Every character has some sort of ability that Hulk powers up when he shoots gamma at them. And so I don't know. Like maybe I guess if they're simpler like that, they're not really as engaging. But then also it's easier to have a synergy with everyone. But I don't imagine everyone has a synergy where they jump on Groot's back and shoot guns from up there in the way Rocket does. And also, looking at those, like, okay, Rocket and Groot, 2 Guardians, Hulk, Iron Man, 2 Avengers. I don't know if Luna Snow, because I don't know anything about this character, and Namor are like related in the comics in some way, and if they're tied to each other. So I don't know if we should look at that as like evidence of like, oh, characters that are kind of affiliated in the comics more so would have specific synergies together. Because once again, that third example, I have no idea if those characters connect at all in the comics.
Yeah, I don't know either. Yeah, but you make an interesting point there, and I feel like if you aren't able to access a Groot to your Rocket, you're still gonna have your Overwatch like super ability equivalent, right? I mean, I don't remember seeing that really in the trailer, but you're gonna have your super ability, I assume.
I think
Unique to
so.
your
Yeah,
character.
I'm guessing every character will have an ultimate move and then 4 standard abilities, and some of those standards could be like a passive or something rather than like an activated ability. But yeah, something like that. We also saw another change up is destructible environments, and I'm guessing this is going to be like, more specific spots rather than like Battlefield Bad Company or something where you can like any wall you can destroy. I don't think it's going to be to that extent, but the examples we saw were it was actually Loki as a Black Panther using this big Black Panther move and destroyed a bridge. The other one we saw was in that same example with the gamma radiated Iron Man. He busted down this huge statue. So I think that's a really cool idea, and I'm curious how much damage it'll take to bust down some of these doors. But I think that's a cool idea in terms of just changing up the strategy of, okay, maybe we're trying to push this payload across this area, but let's actually go up first, take out the bridge because that's a huge vantage point for the opponent. So we want to do that before. So I think it adds some really cool potential strategy to it, and so I'm excited to see kind of the level of it. I'm expecting that maybe each map has like 3 or 4 things that can be destroyed, but I'd love to be proven wrong on that. And maybe there'll be smaller ones where like doors all over the place can be destroyed, and then there's like bigger set piecey ones, but then there's smaller ones, certain walls and shortcuts and things that we'll see a lot more of those. So yeah, that's an interesting idea. In terms of the maps, this is something that I think the trailer really doesn't do a great job of, and maybe they just don't have a lot ready to go or ready to show off. But we saw what I presume is Asgard. It looks a lot like Asgard, and it actually looks a lot, once again, that Overwatch comparison looks a lot like Oasis or Nimbani, like some of these Overwatch maps, just in terms of like the art style of it. And that was the only one in the trailer, as far as I could tell. It seemed like it was the same map in just different areas. And then in the marketing, we've seen like a Japan-looking location. So I don't know what that is exactly, but Overwatch, of course, has like Hanamura and these other like Japanese like sort of inspired maps as well. So very similar comparisons there. But yeah, hopefully there are more maps, especially at launch. We also don't know the release date of this. We know that there's a beta, which I did sign up for, so we'll see if I get into it. I don't even know if my laptop can run it. I honestly lied about the specs that they asked for on the form, so I'm hoping I can get in there and just try it out and see. So we'll find out about that. But yeah, hopefully there's a lot more maps. I mean, there's got to be, but hopefully they're in there pretty soon because, of course, Marvel's not short on like iconic locations, and a lot of them you could really just copy like what Overwatch has once again. So yeah, I excited to see what other ones get announced. I'm sure we could base it off certain characters that we're seeing here and having ones inspired by the characters that are kind of big relevant characters in the game. So excited to see some of that. Before we get into the characters, is there anything else about just the overall gameplay, the trailer that stood out to you?
I mean, I'm just still reeling from the fact that it just looks so much like Overwatch.
Yeah.
But you highlighted the fact that it is the difference of third and first person. Being third person, I think, is really, really wonderful. And I think that's what's going to gravitate me more towards this than that first person. I wasn't a huge fan of the first person vibes in Overwatch, which is, I know it's a very
Why do you think that is? Because you love Call of Duty, you love Halo.
I do, and I think that's why, like, Call of Duty and Halo, they feel different, and they feel maybe it's just Call of Duty. Actually, the way Call of Duty is, I find that it's very intuitive, and it's
so polished at this point, the gameplay of it.
Yeah, and when I play Overwatch, I feel like sometimes it can just be a little I don't know,
sluggish, perhaps.
A little sluggish, yeah. Maybe that's why I like Bastion quite a bit. I like just cruising around as him, set up my little turret.
Yeah.
Reinhardt as well. I like Reinhardt. So I got a few characters that I
Did you ever play Team Fortress back in the day?
No, I missed that ship.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it's still like Team Fortress 2, I think it's still a pretty big deal on Steam. And I think it's actually free at this point. We should jump into that at some point. I love that game. It was super fun back in the day. Of course, Overwatch kind of copied that originally. I don't know if there was a game that predates Team Fortress in terms of the blueprint of it, but shout out to Team Fortress. What a great game. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to look at the roster of this game, which is currently sitting at, I'm going to call it 19 characters. There's one or two asterisks in there, but I'm going to say it's 19 characters. And this is also crazy because last time I played Overwatch was with Kirkland. At some point, what I felt was recently, but I think it's been a long time now because I realized there's so many characters I don't recognize. It makes sense. I haven't actually played the game since Overwatch 2 came out, and so obviously when the new game comes out, they are going to have like multiple characters associated with that, so there's a lot of big new flashy stuff there. But yeah, I've realized that, man, I've been out of the game for a while at this point. So as far as my count here, 40 Overwatch characters and 19 characters announced for this game currently. So what we're going to do is we're going to like pick out the Marvel characters in here, and we're going to compare them. We're going to give them like a parallel character in Overwatch, and we're going to try and chart this out a little bit. And then once we've added all the Marvel characters that are announced, we can chart some other ones in that we think would be similar to an Overwatch character that exists. So I don't know if we'll get all 40 Overwatch characters. We'll just see how much we can get here. But I think it's a fun little thought experiment to be had. I guess first we should say which are the 19 characters that were shown off for this game so far. And those are Rocket, Groot, Star-Lord, Mantis, Black Panther, Iron Man, Hulk / Bruce Banner, very specifically, not just Hulk, but you play as both of them. We'll talk about that. Doctor Strange, Scarlet Witch, Namor, Magneto, Magic, Storm, Penny Parker, Spider-Man, Luna Snow, Loki, Punisher, and Galactus. I guess also right off the bat, what do you think of that roster? Because I love a good oddball, curveball character. You got a couple of those in here. And there's obviously some big characters kind of missing, but you want to have characters to come out every couple months, But yeah, what do you think of this like kind of opening roster?
It's pretty powerful and impactful. The fact that Galactus alone is in there kind of blows my mind.
Yeah, so that's the weird one where we never actually see Galactus gameplay. And it's weird. It's like a woman Galactus, like a female Galactus version, and she seems more like she's like part of the marketing. Like at the end of the trailer, she's like turns around and like snaps her fingers or something, and she's like looks like a regular sized person rather than Galactus being massive. So I don't know if she's gonna be a playable character or if she's somehow just like a lore character, a story character, or like somewhere at the menu or something, who's like, maybe she's like the one, like the almost like a Beyonder, like setting up the secret wars sort of fight between these characters. Remains to be seen, but I think this is a really cool look for Galactus, Galactus in a way. I think it's really fun, and I would love if she was a playable character because she looks really cool. I'd love to, yeah, because normally Galactus is too big to be a playable character in any of these kind of games. So I think this is a good way to go about it. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, I agree.
I think it's a decent roster, of course. I like that there's like a Penny Parker, a Luna Snow, characters I've never heard of in there. I like always want these games to have a curveball or two, just like how Marvel's Midnight Suns had Nico Minoru in there and Magic, kind of some less popular characters. I think that's a good call here. Surprised to see some other ones. Like I'm shocked that Mantis is in this like opening roster. Seems like an interesting pick. I don't like Namor's maybe like kind of a weirder pick, but I guess he makes sense. A big one for me is that let's talk about this real quick. Bruce Banner and Hulk. Like that seems like you have a button that turns you into Hulk. So is it kind of like Diva and how she's
exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah, she's like, if you take out her armor, she becomes just Diva, like the character. She's walking around with her little pistol, but then you kind of go into the mech again, and that's your main version. I'm guessing it'll be something like that, but maybe it'd be a bit different rather than just like a certain amount of damage hit. Maybe it's just like a timer, but it's like I'm really curious what you're gonna do as Bruce. Like I don't think they're gonna give Bruce a pistol like they did Diva. Like that would seem like a weird deviation.
I don't know what you could actually give him. That's very, very peculiar.
So we'll keep an eye. I mean, he's a scientist, so maybe like builds turrets or something, but that would be like a weird thing to give Hulk for a moveset. So a weird choice there, but we'll see how that actually plays in game. You mentioned your boy Bastion. That was your main in Overwatch. Is there a character from this roster or another Marvel character that jumps out to you as like, oh, that's who I'd want my Bastion to be in this game?
Oh, I honestly feel like a Groot or a Rocket might kind of like pull me that way.
Ooh. Now, what about the moveset is giving you that vibe?
Oh, I mean, aside obviously from like the combo of them like stacking up, but I feel like Groot, I have to revisit because we didn't really get to see exactly what his moves were. Like we don't know if he's.
Yeah, we didn't. I don't feel like we saw a ton of like specific Groot gameplay. Yeah.
I feel like he's probably going to be melee oriented. He's not.
I think so.
Have, maybe he could have. Well, no, he probably would only get the guns featured when Rocket jumps on him. I feel like, and that would kind of give him the long range capacity. So he'd be probably up close and personal, I imagine. And I don't think he'd have any kind of healing abilities for others, but maybe because Bastion has that self-healing ability.
I forgot about
like
that.
That's
actually,
something Groot could have as well, which I like being able to handle my own HP. So
I like that idea though of like Bastion's a character who kind of gets set up in a spot and becomes almost just like a part of the map, like an NPC almost. He just becomes an active turret, and I feel like Groot could have a similar thing where like using his roots, just like kind of pile drive himself into the ground and become like a tank who just really like sets up a wall, becomes just an obstacle in that same way. So it's maybe a bit unconventional because Groot doesn't necessarily have like a projectile, but I actually think that's a good pick. So I think we should put that on our little list here. You can fill these in too if you want, since we're looking at this doc. Okay, I like that. My main character in Overwatch, and I definitely played quite a few in my day, but my go-to, my favorite was Zenyatta. I love that guy. Cool robot. I like that he was a support character who could dish out big damage, especially if you got like headshots and stuff, like really, really incentivizing just that high skill ceiling. I like the Discord orb, the healing orb that he has going on there. And to me, in terms of like that inner peace, the kind of like hovering part and like throwing these orbs and stuff, I think Doctor Strange is kind of like the perfect one-to-one comparison because I think Doctor Strange could have that healing element to it. Could be a bit simpler of a character floating there. I think Doctor Strange would maybe have slightly more bombastic powers than Zenyatta has, but I think that's a pretty close comparison in my book.
I think that's actually a really, really good a good pitch.
Which I would love, because once again, Doctor Strange is one of my favorite Marvel characters, Zenyatta my favorite Overwatch character. That would be great if their movesets were even a couple moves in common.
I remember I got the Nutcracker skin for Zenyatta, and so he actually has the like what are they those like Christmas nuts or whatever they are. They're not
Right.
like not the bells, but
Chestnuts.
chestnuts. That's
Yeah.
it. Yeah, the chestnuts are like they're what he throws out, which is really really funny.
Yeah, I love the different orbs that you can get for Zenyatta in the game for sure.
But I think that's a brilliant Doctor Doom pick. I think that's fantastic.
Doctor
Or
Strange.
Doctor
you mean?
Strange, sorry, yeah, they're all doctors.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. So we got Groot here. We got Doctor Strange. Let's grab Punisher. Punisher, I think, also has a very obvious one, and I think that's Soldier 76, right?
Oh wow, I was thinking Reaper, to be honest.
Oh, yeah,
but
I guess-
Soldier 76 fits.
I think that actually could be good too, because I think Reaper is like kind of maybe a bit slower paced, and maybe his like range isn't quite the same. But yeah, I think one of those two it has to be, right?
I mean, Reaper, doesn't he teleport? I can't remember. Does he close?
He does have a teleport, yeah. He like kind of
Okay.
disappears into the shadows, and he like picks a spot and then kind of
Right.
reappears there, right?
Right. And what
So I
was
don't know if
Soldier
that's very
76's
Punisher-like,
abilities?
but-
That's not. Yeah. Soldier 76, what was his abilities?
He's just a guy with a gun. He's just Call of Duty mode. Like his ultimate is just aimbot. Literally, he just turns on his aimbot. I'm guarantee he has a grenade or something. I never really played him myself, but I think he just mostly about the gun and like throwing a grenade at people. So
That fits then. Yeah, I could.
should we do Reaper or should we do Soldier for him?
I'd say Soldier. Soldier fits.
Okay, so we're gonna call that Punisher. You want to pick one next? Pick from this list of contenders up here.
Let's see. I'm gonna say Luna Snow.
Okay.
And immediately when I saw this character, I immediately thought Tracer.
Ooh, that's interesting.
Just the way
Okay.
that she was like sliding, like coasting
Yeah.
through. So
Yeah, because there's kind of two, like Luna Snow's a ice-based character, so the initial thought might be like, well, May obviously in Overwatch because she has like the frost beam, she freezes characters, but I kind of like this idea, like if we put Luna as a Tracer type because she's a bit faster paced, maybe juking people out, kind of the range attacks as well, and then we can just make Iceman the equivalent for May because that makes even more sense,
Yeah.
right?
there we go.
It's kind of a 2-for-1. So let's do that. I think Iceman for May is, I mean, the ice part of it makes a whole lot of sense. I think May, is a bit of a slower paced sort of character, almost like a bit of a tank, whereas Iceman you would think would be a bit more of a dodging type character, dodging in and out of attacks. So there might be slight differences there. But yeah, thank you for helping type those ones in. Let's see. Next up, who do we got? Magneto as a character. This is maybe a weird one, maybe not as obvious, but if you go on the Overwatch characters, Taylor, you can look into this. Sigma is a character that came out after I stopped playing, but if you look at this guy looks like he's doing Magneto stuff. He's like picking up bricks and I don't know stuff, and he's hucking them at people. He's floating there too. He's kind of an old man as well, so he looks. He to me seems like a pretty damn close equivalent in my mind.
Celebrated astrophysicist.
Okay.
Life forever changed in a failed experiment gave him the ability to control gravity. You know what? I feel like that fits. I mean,
Yeah.
gravity, metal, apples, oranges. Like
Apples, oranges, yeah. Cool. There we go. There's another one. Okay, well, Hulk and Bruce Banner. So we talked about that diva comparison there, but is there any other similarity between them other than the fact that there's kind of like this dual character element to it? Because I feel like moveset wise, they don't really make a lot of sense as like equivalent characters.
No, I guess not. I mean, that Diva is exactly where my mind was going.
Yeah.
But
Because I have another pitch for Diva, and I'll bring that up later. But here's my other thought for Hulk. Was his character named Doomfist. And I don't know if you have seen Doomfist before, but this guy just has a big arm that he like uses to block hits. he jumps in the air and like smashes his huge fist into the ground, doing like shockwave sort of things. So to me, he seems like a Hulk type, and he's not quite as bulky as other than the big arm. He's not quite as on the size, the scale of a Hulk. But I feel like moveset wise, like I could just picture that being for Hulk, even though we've seen that this Hulk is like more about shooting gamma at people. But I think that could be a good close equivalent there.
I'm sold. Like his abilities: Meteor Strike, Power Block, Seismic Slam, Rocket Punch. These all sound Hulk enough for me.
And then I'll just bring it up now. So this is not one of the announced characters, but a character called Armor. I don't know if you've seen her before. And the only reason I know about her is because of the Great Marvel Snap. But I think she's an X-Men related character, and she essentially just like can put on this giant red energy suit. And honestly, I don't know much beyond that in terms of like how her powers work, because that's as simple as it gets in something like Marvel Snap. But I was thinking she seems like character-wise, she could be kind of similar. She's got the armor element of it. That could be like a temporary thing that could go on and off. So I kind of like that. I don't know if she has much of like a range attack in the way that Diva does, but otherwise I think she's kind of similar.
Yeah, I mean, looking at photos of her and how she's just kind of armored up, this definitely gives me Diva vibes. A lot more than Bruce Banner and Hulk, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. What do you think about Spider-Man in this game? Did you catch that kind of section with him in the trailer?
Yeah, he just managed to do like this super stun all across the board.
Shooting a lot of web out there, yeah. I don't know if he has a swing, though. That's the one thing that seemed a bit weird about him is, like, I don't know how movement-based of a character he's going to be. It was a very quick snippet. It was like 5 seconds where you saw him specifically, and I didn't catch if at the background of any other scenes if he was swinging around. That's something I hope they get right, though, because I think the movement of Spider-Man is really important, and so many games have done it and got it right at this point. I hope that they can just kind of copy-paste those, but then also you got to turn it into a competitive moveset that's not overpowered. But in terms of like stunning and shutting characters down, I think there's a lot of potential there for, I don't know, pairing them up with some Overwatch equivalent character.
I'm trying to find a character that may have similar moves, because I feel like there was a character in Overwatch that had the capacity of doing like a mass multiple stun.
Yeah, I mean, I think Zarya has one of those. I mean, Mei has her like ice field, but we've kind of already picked a Mei.
That might be what I'm thinking of, was Mei's ice field.
Yeah.
And
Here's another kind of maybe more off the wall pick is Wrecking Ball. I'm sure you've seen Wrecking Ball in Overwatch, because this seems like a Taylor kind of character. He's essentially a hamster in a giant ball, and he like flings himself around. I just feel like the way he flings himself around, like maybe that's how we could draw the comparison with a Spider-Man.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea, actually. His grappling claw.
Because I couldn't really think of any other ones. Like there wasn't other Overwatch characters that really screamed Spider-Man to me. So we could do that one, because that one might be hard otherwise to find a character similar to Wrecking Ball.
Yeah, I think just the grappling definitely fits. Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Okay, why don't you rifle off a couple from the Marvel character list here?
So who do we got here? We got. Oh, let's look at a Black Panther.
Okay.
What do we have here for Black Panther?
I think something like maybe like a Genji could be a good fit.
I really, really like that. That's actually a really, really good pick.
Really agile character, all about the movement, kind of mostly melee combat. Genji does have like shurikens, but we can kind of take those out for this example. I think Genji is one of those characters, though, like you could really pick multiple Marvel characters for that, but I think Black Panther would be a really fun version, actually.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Okay. Cool. We'll do that. I think another character that, I mentioned earlier, I was kind of surprised to see her in here, is Mantis. But I think Mantis to me just seems like that's a healer, no doubt, right? Because of her like mind abilities, like she just seems like she's got to be a healer. And so for that reason, I was thinking maybe just make her the quintessential healer from Overwatch, Mercy herself.
Yeah, I'd be backing that.
Being able to revive people, like I could see Mantis having an ability kind of like that too. So yeah, let's go for that one. Thank you. What else you got for me here?
It's too bad there wasn't a Hawkeye because I got the perfect pick for that.
Well, might as well bring it up now. Go for it.
Well, I was thinking Hanzo would be the ultimate Hawkeye.
Yeah, of course, right? Gotta be. Let's do it. Yeah, lock it in there because I feel like
Lock
Hawkeye's.
it in? Okay.
Yeah, I mean he's a huge character. He'll be in there. And looking at the rest of these characters that we currently have on the list, like I don't look at any of them and think of Hanzo. So I don't think we're gonna stomp on any toes by doing it. And we have a lot of characters, so we gotta, match them up when we can. Taylor, have you seen gameplay of this character named Maga? He's actually apparently a new character. He's at the very top of the Overwatch Heroes page. Maga, who looks kind of like The Rock.
Yeah,
Dwayne
what's
The
that
Rock.
movie? Moana.
Yeah, oh my god, actually, I wonder if that's a comparison. But this is a big dude, a really big dude, and he has two Gatling guns on either side of his body. Does that not immediately make you think of a Marvel character that we love to talk about here?
Are you thinking Rocket?
I'm thinking. I'm
big
sorry. I'm
guns?
not someone on the list. Not someone on the
Oh.
current list. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you thinking like Drax?
Deeper
certain
cut.
Marvel
Deeper
character?
cut. Deeper cut.
Oh gosh. Deeper cut with two big Gallon guns.
On either side of his body, slow moving character, tanky. You want me to reveal?
Are you thinking like an Obadiah Stane from Iron Man?
Deeper cut.
Deeper.
Deeper.
You got a hint, a clue.
We have in our StreamYard's list of memes pictures. He's a classic. We use this guy a lot.
What?
Comes up on the
gosh.
X-Men retro.
Oh, are you serious? Oh, I didn't even think of that. Bonebreaker.
The
Wow.
great Bonebreaker. This guy
That's a
has
bold one.
Bonebreaker written all over him.
That is a deep cut. Holy smokes.
Imagine if they added Bonebreaker in this game. That would be insane.
I'd be there day one.
Getting us back on track. Well, that's a good one. Well, actually, before we get back to our list, your man Ghost Rider. Who do you think? Do you think there's an Overwatch character that kind of has Ghost Rider energy to them?
Maybe a Reaper, but honestly, I'm not
Ooh,
feeling it. I
yeah.
don't know, maybe a Lucio in some weird way.
Lucio. I think there's another like slam dunk for Lucio. I'll bring that up later.
But I don't really feel like
Because I don't
I'm
think Ghost Rider's I don't think he's a healer. You know.
No, maybe Cassidy. I could feel just the cowboy Ghost Rider
Oh.
vibe. Maybe that's the way to go.
That's interesting because I was gonna ask you about that. Like, I don't know. It's weird that I don't know of a Marvel character who's like a cowboy, and I'm sure there are some that exist. I'm sure there's like some Wild West comic book run that happened, but yeah, like off the top of my head, I can't think of any. That might be good. The other one I was thinking of was, what about Roadhog? He may not have the same size, but like the hook as being like the core
Hook
part of
thing,
the gameplay mechanic. I thought that could be kind of a similar idea. And also like Roadhog has a shotgun, so not huge range. If like if you had Ghost Rider with like his chain and that kind of being like almost like a shotgun blast, the way he swings it around.
I mean, he did use a shotgun in the movie, so it fits. Chain and
Oh.
shotgun.
Well, there you go.
There you go. Yeah.
Okay. Let's log that one in. Let's go back to our list of known characters. Do you have any other ones that scream out to you that make a lot of sense?
I mean, there's a few characters. Well, I'm trying to remember which characters were melee oriented.
We got Reinhardt would be a big one. Are you talking about like Overwatch characters that are melee focused?
Reinhardt would make a good Thor, I feel.
And I think-
But, I mean,
I think Bridget is Thor a confirmed character for the
No,
game?
but
Okay.
I'm just thinking creatively.
Yeah.
Um,
Torbjorn, I mean, he's got other stuff because he's like building stuff. He's a melee focus.
right.
Winston. Oh, Winston has got to be Beast, right?
I would say Winston Beast for sure.
Okay, let's lock that one in.
I like a Widowmaker low key. I don't know why, but I can kind of see
Ooh.
something there. I couldn't tell you what it is, but it's
Yeah.
just what I'm feeling.
The other with because Loki in this in that we've seen here, he can like turn into other characters and emulate their abilities. And I don't know what the limit of that is. And I like there's got to be an Overwatch character that does that, right?
There must be.
I was looking through the roster. I couldn't like clearly find one.
Oh, Echo.
Echo does that?
Echo duplicates a targeted enemy hero and gains use of their abilities.
I think we should do that then. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh yeah, I didn't recognize this Echo character. Must be a newer one. She's
I
like
mean,
a
we could have made
robot.
Echo, but I don't know if that. I don't know if Marvel's Echo makes a whole lot of sense for that comparison. Otherwise, I like that one. That's a good one. The what I was mentioning earlier, Lucio, the music guy, that's got to be Dazzler, right?
Dazzler. Oh, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, that'd be a good one. Mm-hmm.
Okay, lock that one in. And just trying to see. I'm trying to cross off my list here as we go through this. We locked in Ghost Rider for what's his name, Roadhog. What about Iron Man? Iron Man's got to have someone quite like him. Oh, what about Farah? Farah for Iron Man. Farah's like the floating like the lady who flies in the air and shoots rockets and things like that from the sky.
She's got her mech suit too. Now.
And
I
her
like
ultimate
this.
is just like an Iron Man move, like 1-to-1. And she's a flyer, so I think that one makes a lot of sense, right?
Yeah, I like that a lot.
There's really a lot of characters that quite similar. Did we grab Reaper for someone?
No, he's been name dropped. But we haven't
What about
placed him.
Star-Lord? What about Star-Lord for Reaper? Movement based, guns.
Actually, yeah, I kind of like that. I think that's a good pick.
It's good enough, right?
Mm-hmm.
What else is screaming out to you here?
Ooh.
We did Punisher.
I'm looking at Junkrat right now.
Junkrat, okay.
I was trying to see who would fit for a Junkrat character. Who's that like skinny, slunky-ish, sneaky character?
Yeah. What about Rocket?
You know what? That's not a bad pick, actually.
Kind of all about grenades and explosives and stuff, right?
Yeah, I could get behind that. That's actually really a good idea.
Okay. That's good. I don't see where Junkrat is on the... Oh, here he is. Okay. Rocket. We're doing pretty good. We almost got all the announced ones. We made this comparison earlier with Namor having these freaking octopus that he's throwing down, which is similar to Symmetra. Why don't we just go with that?
Yeah, that's perfect.
I don't know if there's really any other notable comparison between them, but you know, we're getting down to like the weirder comparisons at this point anyway, so that's fine. I will say, so from the trailer, Magic was shown off, which I'm such a huge Magic fan, especially after Midnight Suns as a game. Just love that character now. I think she looks really interesting in this. Like her swing is so slow that it kind of reminds me of like the way Reinhardt swings his weapon around. Now, I think that's the only way those characters would be similar. But I think like a melee-based character with like really slow slashes that has this teleport that she has where she can quickly close the distance and move around seems really fun. So I like when I was watching this trailer, that was the character that jumped out to me as like top of mind. I definitely want to play her. And I wouldn't have made this comparison otherwise. But when I was looking at gameplay of Junker Queen, who's an Overwatch character, there was something about the character that seemed kind of similar. Like she has a sword, I think, at some point that she slashes around. She's got a big weapon that's like really slow paced, which kind of seems like what Magic is here. So, you know, we're missing the teleport angle of it. But I but we also have some like other moves, like her ultimate or something called Rampage. I'm looking at her moveset here that actually looks like something Magic might do. So I think that's a decent enough comparison.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get behind that.
In that same train of thought, what was there a character when you were watching the trailer that looked really fun to you that you would think you would be maybe your first character that you would check out?
Honestly, I'm biased. I'd probably go Iron Man. I feel like it's very basic.
Okay.
I feel like I could just kind of fit the vibes and feel the vibes of what's going on, and then kind of branch out from there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. There's only 4 characters yet announced that we haven't picked: Scarlet Witch, Storm, Penny Parker, Galactus. These ones are pretty hard for me because actually on my original list I did have Scarlet Witch as being a Symmetra kind of character, but now we've put Namor there. But I do think that one would have made sense.
Look into maybe Life Weaver as Scarlet Witch, because when I was cycling through the abilities, this feels like a Scarlet Witch kind of character here with what they're doing.
Kind of
they got
healing moves, Thorn Volley. Oh, you're right. This is a great pick. The pedal platform. Oh yeah, This character looks fun. This is one of those characters when I was looking through the Overwatch characters getting ready for this, I'm like, no idea this character existed. Complete blind spot. Because even someone like Echo, I don't think I ever played the game with an Echo, but I still recognize the character. But yeah, like Life, we are no idea. But I really like that pick. I think that's a great call. Let's do that. I think Storm was a hard one for me, even though it seems like it should be straightforward, but Storm just has so much potential. And like I feel like no one like lived up to the potential that like Storm is. So that's a tricky one for me. Penny Parker as well is like, so I guess for anyone who doesn't know, I mean, I didn't know this either. Penny Parker seems to kind of has like the Iron Spider sort of thing going on. It seems like in general, that's kind of her vibe as a character. So is there an Overwatch character that's like very armory, very covered in armor?
This Orisa character is very armory.
Oh, that's a good pick. Let's go with that one. I think that's a really good pick. Maybe a bit more of a tanky, like melee-based character. I like that.
Yes, I guess he's just really a robot, but
yeah,
it works.
It works. And then, yeah, is anything coming to your mind for Storm?
Well, there's the character Moira. We didn't cast her, right? Yeah.
Yeah, what does Moira do again? Moira was added when I still played the game, but kind of barely.
She's got some interesting
projectiles?
stuff. It's not like weather really related, but it makes me think of the weather a little bit.
You know what? Let's go for it. We got Storm from Moira. And then Galactus, a very weird one, right? Because if we're talking about Galactus as like a smaller scale, like regular human size, like what does Galactus do if Galactus isn't big? If Galactus ain't eating worlds, what is Galactus doing? I don't really know. What about this character Ramatra?
I was just looking at that. I'm looking at these abilities and thinking, man, we got Annihilation,
Barrier,
Ravenous
Pummel.
Vortex. This fits.
Yeah, and this character's like dark and purple and looks evil as well, so I think that's actually pretty fitting. So we'll go with Galactus. Okay, so now we've officially picked all the characters that are actually in the game, so good job to us, because that's a lot. Do you have any other favorite Marvel characters that you had found good Overwatch equivalents for that you wanted to bring up here?
Let me just look and see who we casted so far.
I can throw a couple at you if you need.
Well, I'm thinking a Sombra for Black Widow.
Ooh, okay.
I feel like she's got these tech-related abilities, machine pistol.
I had Black Widow as like the Widowmaker character because once again, Black Widow, Widowmaker, and also has like the hook, like the grappling hook, and then like the mine, which I feel like is something she would have. But the sniper doesn't really fit as much. Whereas I think Sombra, in terms of like the maneuverability of the character, makes a lot of sense. And I feel like Black Widow's got to be like a hacker to some extent, which is what Sombra's deal is, right? What if we go with like Yelena as one and Black Widow as the other, and then we can get 2 for 1. So
I
which
like
one do you
that.
think is like ideal?
Oh gosh.
Should we just go with like the Widow pun and just call Black Widow Widowmaker?
I think you have to.
And then we'll call Sombra as Yelena. Sombra's a cool character. I enjoyed her back in my Overwatch days. Cool. Let's see. Torbjorn is a character who sets up a bunch of traps, robots. I kind of forget what else he does, but he builds things and sets up electronics. What about like a Doctor Doom or an Ultron? In terms of like kind of building up an army, so to speak, of like their other robots.
Yeah, I gravitate towards Doctor Doom actually for that.
Yeah, because even if you look at trying to find it, like Torbjorn's arm, like it kind of looks like Doctor Doom's like kind of coffee cup sort of like shoulders, you know, that he has in like Ultimate Alliance 1. So let's go with that. And there's something weird about Torbjorn being Doctor Doom. That's just unsettling in a good way. So I'm into that. I think have you looked at Kiriko, this Overwatch character?
Kiriko. I did actually, yes.
Is that not Electra? That's Electra, right?
Oh. Well, ooh.
You got another one for me?
Could it be like a bullseye?
Because of the is Kiriko more of a melee based?
Maybe a
range?
Gambit actually. 'Cause she's whipping out the cards, right?
Oh, I didn't even
I'm trying to think
see
of.
the cards. Okay, yeah, it's got to be Gambit. Teleport. I don't know if Gambit would teleport, but I could see him like doing like a quote unquote rocket jump with like his cards, like throw them down. I like that a lot. Let's go with that. That's really, really smart. And then okay, here's a weird one. Reinhardt, of course, this is like one of the most iconic Overwatch characters. Big dude with a shield, big like warhammer, really tanky guy swinging. I was thinking that what about Cole Obsidian, who's like the guy from the Black Order? He's like the big beast guy. He doesn't necessarily have a shield, but or maybe he does even in one of the movies. But you could give him a shield, and I just think he's got that scale to him. He's got the big weapon in his arm. So I like that one. Another kind of under the radar sort of pick too, right?
Yeah, I like that one a lot.
Cool. Lock that one in. We had talked about Ghost Rider as a McCree, which I think is cool, but since we gave Ghost Rider elsewhere, what about just like Nick Fury for McCree?
Nick Fury.
In terms of the moveset, like personality-wise is not there, but in terms of the moveset, like, you know, pistol, like more grounds, weapons-based, a bit more down-to-earth, but like, you know, precise sort of character. Is there a better one, or is that good enough?
No, I think that's great.
Okay. You got any other ones for me here?
Well, I was looking up this Alari character, trying to think who fits that.
Right, I think I had one. Let me look at her again on this website. Definitely going through this makes me want to jump back in Overwatch, just because I always missed that game, but also just seeing some of these new characters that do look very fun. Ooh, Alari, so she's got a solar rifle, captive sun. So it seems like a energy sun-based character. What about Sunspot from 97?
Actually. Yeah, there you go. That's brilliant.
And cause it seems like she's maybe a healer, and I could see his sun powers being like healing in the game. Cool. Another one here, Bridget. Have you seen Bridget before?
Bridget. Let me pull her.
Bridget's got more like melee combat. She's got a big shield. She's support Captain America, potentially.
I mean, with the shield, for sure. I'm totally sold on that.
Her flail weapon also does look a bit daredevil-y, but I don't know if the rest of her moveset does. Now I kind of want to...
I mean, she's got the Inspire ability. I feel like Rally. Those are Captain America qualities. If I ever see
I didn't
shield
even
bash,
notice that. Yeah, that's...
barrier shield.
Let's lock
I
that
think it
in.
fits.
And now I believe in the lore, Bridget and Torbjorn, like I think Bridget is Torbjorn's daughter. So the idea of like Captain America and Doctor Doom having some sort of relation is also a fun secondary thought. You got any other ones for me? We're getting down to it. We only have like 5 or 6 characters left, actually. So I think we're going to be able to run the gambit here and get this all in.
Did we cast Baptiste? No, we didn't.
Oh, we didn't write anything down for Hanzo. We decided on Hawkeye for that, right?
We did, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. Write that down.
There's a lot of healers in this game.
I know,
Baptiste is another one.
Biotic launcher. He's got regenerative burst. He's got immortality field. This is one I did not. I racked my brain, but I could not think of one.
Wouldn't be like oh gosh. Why am I running a blank here? What is this X-Men character's name again?
Forge, Bishop.
Bishop.
One of those two?
Yes, thank you.
I was thinking Bishop for Sojourn, actually. Have you seen Sojourn? I think this is, Sojourn. Once again, has the gun, power slide, the disruptor shot.
Yeah, I'm getting Bishop vibes here too.
But what if we do for Baptiste? What if we do Forge for that? Because Forge seems like a bit more supportive, and that guy seems supportive.
Yeah, I like that a lot more actually.
Okay, so Forge there, and I like that we have both of those boys in there. Bishop. So I think the only characters we have left are Ash, Anna, Zarya, and then there's a character that just was announced but isn't out yet called Venture. I actually have a pick for Venture. If you might have to Google this one because I don't think it's on the website. But Venture, if you just watch like a quick gameplay, she's essentially like the Underminer. Like she just goes underground, burrows, disrupts the earth. So I was thinking Quake for that. I don't know if you're familiar with Quake much, but yeah, I think that's probably a good pick there. So let's go Quake. So that leaves just 3 characters, Ash, Anna, and Zarya. I have a Zarya potential one here, which could be Thor. Could be Thor. Now, I think I could see Thor being like more of a tanky character like Zarya is. I'd see the energy field kind of shooting out like the orbs that Zarya shoots out. I could see like being like a hammer throw. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's perfect, but I think Thor would be a character that we should try and definitely, because I think that actually gives us all the Avengers, the main 6 Avengers from, that original movie. So maybe we could just go with that.
I like that.
Okay, let's do it. And then, so that leaves us now. Okay.
Ash and Anna.
Yeah, I think for Anna, I think I did, when I was in my notes, I think I did put Luna Snow as a potential there.
Okay.
Because she's kind of like Luna Snow's once again about like sniping a bit, and it seems like Luna Snow like throws ice at enemies to heat or at enemies to damage them, and then like ice at teammates to heal them maybe or power them up, and that's definitely what Anna does. But then that would require us to get another Tracer pick.
What about Winter Soldier, Bucky Barnes for Anna?
A sniper based, okay, yeah.
Definitely did some assassinations.
I'm trying to remember Anna's like movement abilities. How does she move around? Or maybe she doesn't a whole lot. Page not found. Oh, great. Maybe they deleted her from the game or something. Oh, okay, here we go. So she's got a biotic rifle. She's got the sleep dart. That definitely seems like a Winter Soldier thing because he's always getting put to sleep. Biotic grenade. I mean, he would definitely have a grenade. I think that's a great pick. Yeah, let's log that one in.
There we go.
So that just leaves us with Ash, which is a character that when I was looking at her moveset, I could not think of a character that made sense. So she's also kind of like McCree. She's kind of like a Western type. She's got a gun. She's got like another gun. She's got dynamite. And she's got this thing called Bob. What is Bob? Oh, Bob's like a giant mech dude.
Oh.
That looks pretty fun. I like the look of Bob, deploy Bob. So that makes me think of maybe like Ultron, someone a big robot guy, has got ranged attacks. But I don't love it, but I think it's fine.
What about a Yondu? Bob could be like the arrow calling in to
The arrow would be really cool. That would almost be like a soldier's aimbot kind of thing, just like going around hitting people out. But I like that. Let's get, because there's a lot of guardians in here, so I like that a lot. Let's do it. Taylor, we've done it. We've cast all 40 Overwatch characters as their Marvel counterparts. I'm impressed with us. I think that's a lot, and I'm not gonna read these all off again. But if anyone wants to see the recap, you can head over to YouTube. I've just pulled it up on the screen share. You can see what we wrote down for everyone. But I'm really happy with this. And if this happened, I think I'd be very happy with the roster. That would be insane. Yeah. Any other thoughts on Marvel's Rivals now that we've gone through this thing? Is there any characters, I guess, that we didn't cast that you'd like to see make it in somehow? I feel like we've kind of hit a lot of the big ones, but
yeah, I feel like we've hit definitely all the big ones. I mean, maybe there's probably like a Blade, characters like that.
Blade would be cool.
Moon Knight as well. Those types of characters in there would be fun. But I think if I were to pop open a game and the roster has Yondu, it has Bishop, Bonebreaker, like, come on, this is fantastic. And not to mention the skins too, the cosmetics that you'd have for each of these characters. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, you could even do like for an Iron Man, you could give him like my God, what is his homie's name there? War Machine. You could give him like a War Machine skin, so you get like a bonus character in there. There's a few of those for sure, as we talked about. Like Genji could be so many different characters, so that'd be a fun way to kind of infuse more characters into the game. But yeah, I am very much looking forward to this. I think it's going to be a fun time. Even if it's not a long time, I think it will be a fun time for a few weeks to play this game. And I think it's one of those games that, you know, when each new character comes out, I could see myself jumping back in. Want to check them out. Want to see how it evolves, see the different maps as they get introduced, because I'm just such a Marvel fan in that way. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this game. I think it's cool. I hope to see more. Like I said, I did try to get into this beta in May. I don't know if there's an NDA on it, if you're not allowed to talk about it. If not, though, I definitely would share my thoughts. But yeah, look forward. I think this would be fun to play with you and Travis and Kirkland. Hopefully there's like cross-play in there and we can all get in there. That'd be fun to team up as a squad of 6, get some other people in there. And yeah, there you go. There's Marvel's Rivals. And I think that's all for today. Taylor, this was a lot of fun. Great discussion. Thank you for joining me. And we'll see you all next week. Bye-bye.